Coming up on today's episode of the More Than Sunday podcast.
We really benefit from, because worship benefits us. It's for him, but it also is for us in the sense that it is what brings our mind back around to be fixed on him. It brings our heart back around to know him. And so there's this benefit element of that allowing and inviting that I've been actively trying to discipline myself for, because before I know it, my brain's already gone doing something else.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to have to do it all over again, over and over and over again.
Welcome to the More Than Sunday podcast with lead pastor Scott Harris and your host Josh Rogers. Each episode, we aim to have honest conversations around daily living as a follower of Jesus outside of a church building. Thanks for joining us. Let's start the conversation.
Hey, welcome back to the More Than Sunday podcast. This is episode 13.
That's my favorite number.
That is your favorite number.
I'm excited.
Episode 13. Scott is still on sabbatical. We're excited to have him back soon, but excited today to have a guest with us, Brittany Menzies, our worship director here at Northshore. We work together in the worship ministry, and we're going to have some conversation around worship. But before we dig into that, we typically have little segments that we do at the front of the episode, and we've done book time a lot where we talk about books that we like. I'm going to change it up.
Ooh.
We're going to do Showtime.
Showtime?
I know. I just felt like it was fitting, given the theater background.
Yeah, but Showtime to me is different than Showtime for you.
I know.
So what does this mean?
So Showtime is, tell us about a show, like a live show or a TV show or whatever that you've been kind of into lately.
Lately, nothing, actually. Lately, I've just been reading and spending time outside, but...
You just came back from...
I did just come back from the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, which I have a really hard time saying when I say it really fast. Oregon Shakespeare Festival.
Let's try that. Oregon
Shakespeare Festival.
Okay.
Yes. And we ended up seeing 5 shows, and they were incredible. They did some really, really fun stuff with it. But we did end up seeing this all-female cast of Julius Caesar, which is a hard show to watch, but they did such an amazing job with it. And... that was just really, I was sitting with some of the things from that show kind of later, being like, how does that stories are all still so relevant for today, which is why stories are so impactful with testimony or even what Jesus did in the Bible, right? So that's why I super connect with stories, because even if it's like a story about belonging and it's about a kid trying to find a friend or something like that, like it still touches to parts of who we are. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh. So, I mean, I love kids stories. I love, I do love a lot of kids shows and kids stories, but, just so relevant still for where we are today, and so just touched me a lot.
Are you a YouTube person at all?
Not really.
Not really?
No.
Okay.
Sometimes podcasts, a lot of audiobooks lately.
Okay.
because driving and stuff.
I can't do audiobooks. I'll be like a chapter in and realize I've been thinking about something else completely. And like, well, that didn't work.
Every now and then I have to go back. So no, lately I'm not a nonfiction reader.
Okay.
It has to be fiction because I can just kind of like escape into the world. But fun fact, I do have, I just whittled down to 48 out of 50 houseplants. And so every week I have to go through my chore of watering or feeding the plants, and feeding takes a lot longer, and then they have to drain completely, and yada yada. And so I put an audiobook on for that, and that's just something that like I can have on while I'm doing this tedious chore.
Do you have any bonsai plants?
I don't.
So Courtney asked me the other day if I would like a bonsai plant that I could just maintain.
I think you would for a season.
See, that's what I said.
Yeah, I think you would.
Circle back, I am a YouTube person.
Yes.
And one of the shows I like is a guy who does these long time lapses that he films over a year and a half.
Like little snip.
Yes,
little
of caring for a bonsai.
Little snip.
I'm like, okay, I could be into that.
They're pretty finicky. My finickiest plant, this fiddle leaf, is like such a princess. And I have her in a new spot because I just moved, and I can't tell if she likes it because I think it's a little too much sun. There's a little bit of a draft coming right there. Like literally, if there's a draft, she's gonna lose leaves. She's a princess, but I'll do my best for her.
Sensitive.
She
little
is.
sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see that. My favorite, I don't really have TV shows that I watch. It's sports and YouTube pretty much, if I choose to watch something. I haven't been to a live show I've been to the musical here. So, okay. So, Brittany, you're also the director of our musical
been the last
here
2 years, yep.
at our academy. And they do a phenomenal job. Some of my students were in that as well. And so
super fun.
So that actually is the last live show that I've seen.
Really?
Yep.
World famous middle schoolers.
They're great.
Yeah, they are.
So I can't remember the name of the channel because the guy's first name is Alvin, but his last name is his channel name. But he goes around the world and does these like 30, 40-minute long mini docs on really high-end restaurants. And he sets them to like classical music, and sometimes they're not in English, and so he'll just do subtitles. But it's a very cinematic like walkthrough of a day in the life, basically. And so this last one was in the top ramen shop in Japan, and it's just fascinating. I just enjoy every bit of it. Yeah.
That is very cool. You can laugh at me every now and then if I'm like, yeah, I want to watch something on YouTube. Some algorithm has me on carpet cleaning videos that just are so mesmerizing.
Courtney, she loves the carpet cleaning and the pressure washing videos where you just this like from dirty to clean.
And it's not an everyday thing. It's like once in a blue moon, but I'm just like, yeah, wow, look at that transformation. Again, story of relevance right there. It's a story. And then also years and years and years ago, Good Mythical Morning. And so every now and then Rhett and Link still get me just because I really enjoy them as people. Like they're just so fun and they have such a good relationship. And they're still going strong for this like 40-year friendship, and they're just silly and fun. But I also don't watch them very often. But you can laugh at me for Good Mythical Morning and carpet cleaning.
Yeah, I think Rhett and Link have probably the number one. They've got to be ranked number one in amount of different fast foods tried.
Yeah.
Like
and silly combinations.
They've found everything.
They have. I'm kind of blown away by their team and how they still come up with new things, or they're repeating things and making it okay to repeat things, like things that they've already tried before, but they're doing it in a different way or something. I'm like, okay, that's kind of fun.
So I want to push into your, you called it a chore, taking care of your plants.
Yeah.
Another segment idea that we've never done before, hobby talk. So would you consider that a hobby? As a creative, I know you have many expressions and different things you do.
Okay. When I first got an apartment by myself over 5 years ago, I started collecting plants, and I just was obsessed. And I was like every day, like, oh my goodness, taking care of them. Oh, this one has a yellow leaf. Take it off. Like, is it getting the right amount of humidity? Are they like checking their soil, doing all the things like a really good plant parent would? And then I got a dog. And I stopped taking care of my plants super well, but the ones, and some have died, but the ones that have lasted have been the ones that I like can last in the circumstances that I have and the what I can do. And so I think the fun of, I'm all about plants has gone away, but I would say I'm still a plant person in the sense that like it feels like my home, that they're there, that my house is filled with the green and the fresh, and like when I go down to my little living room and it's just filled with that one has about probably 30-ish plants in it right now. Like, it feels like me, but I'm not like an amazing plant person.
Okay.
But I like start to know like this plant, these snake plants are good at not getting as much water, or not, this ones can get a little bit less light or whatever. So I kind of know a little bit, and I was really learning. At first I was really into it because I feel like the Lord was kind of sharing some like similarities between people and plants, and being like, hey, there's these basic needs that you need too, and we can take care of you by like, you need light, you need nutrients, good nutrients, you're thirsty, and it's a rhythm and it's constant, and we take care of ourselves in that way. And so there was a little bit of a spiritual rhythm to it for me, and then I got a dog, and then that is a whole different spiritual rhythm.
I mean, I love that you made it, that you took it to this deep place. Like, man, growing spiritually is I can't keep a plant alive to save my life. And I know I talked about the bonsai tree. And here's the thing. I get like hyper fixated on something and then I learn about it. But at this stage weed growing, like weeds, not
Yes,
just
like
weeds outside.
House weeds.
Yeah, good clarity. Yeah, they grow great for me.
Yeah, you're really good at those, huh?
I'm great at those.
Are you good at taking care of them?
I'm so good at taking care of them.
Do
yeah.
you pick them?
Well, it's great. You know, the grass is like, we're a little tired of the sun. We're going to go into dormancy, but the weeds are like, it's our time to shine.
It's summertime, man.
Yeah,
it's time for
it's
weeds.
great. I'm super good at it.
Yeah.
So we
Hobby Top is a good one.
yeah, hobby talk. Talking about plants.
I like it.
Well, I was just thinking about us being obviously we know each other super well, and so like both creative and think about things creatively, and so like the last couple of months, one of the ways I've been kind of doing that is with colored pencils.
Yes.
Kind of cycling through different things, and
You went
that's
through
been
the alcohol
fun.
marker stage for a little while.
Yeah,
Alcohol
yep, have those.
based.
Those are fun.
But now it's colored pencils.
Well, I've discovered that I really enjoy limiting my options.
Okay.
So I got like a small pack. I'm like, these are the only ones I can use for whatever piece I'm working on.
Okay. How many colors?
I think there's 24.
Okay.
But it's across all of the colors. So there's only, there's like 2 greens or 2 browns. And so you're limited there. But I don't know. It feels like it allows me to make more creative decisions. And that's been fun.
Are they the kinds that can layer?
Yes.
See, that's really cool because then
Yes.
you can pick and choose and make a little bit more unique
Yep.
colors. Color theory, okay. Once upon a time, I was like, I would really love to go into more like color theory study.
Mm-hmm.
And then my sister was graduating from Western up in Bellingham. We went to her graduation, and there was legit somebody graduating with the degree of purple. Don't know what that means, but that was like they had
Wow.
made their own degree. And I was like, well, if I went into color study, I'd want it to actually like be something serious and not like something that I can make fun of, like this person who graduated with a degree
Just
in purple.
one color.
I have no idea what that means, but
Maybe it's something like really cool that we just don't know about.
yeah, and it's got to be. There's got to be something more to it. And I mean, maybe that's something we look into before the next one. I don't know, because I don't want to like sound mean about this one person I
Yeah.
don't know who has this weird degree.
I'm going to pick a single color.
I just don't know what it means.
Sure.
But color is so special.
Mm-hmm.
And it just speaks. I mean, color speaks to me. Like there's times where I know like I just see something. Actually, I was just talking to Dante about it on Sunday because the background on my phone is an image of a painting that I saw when I was down at Worship U 6 years ago. And I went to this service and I was kind of seeking the Lord for some very specific things. And there were all these painters and artists up there.
Yeah.
And I saw this one. She was working on something else, but next to her on an easel was a finished painting. It was pretty big. And it had just all these textures and colors. And I looked at it and the Holy Spirit just was like, hey, I love you. And it was just like him speaking to me through the colors and the textures, because he does that. I mean, he speaks to us in so many different ways. And so I was like wrecked in that moment just by and baffled that like I'm looking at this canvas of literally just colors and texture and being like, the Holy Spirit is speaking to me through this right now.
Yep.
He is here with me right now through this. And just like he does this, he talks to us like this. That's crazy. And I asked her if I could take a picture of it, and it's been the background of my screen ever since, because I still am just like, it's a marker now, like the Lord just being so real in beauty and creativity, or even literally the color green sometime could speak to you just of like that, just the Holy Spirit's presence. It's just so good.
Well, I love that you kind of just did this naturally, but for sort of our main topic for the episode, talking about worship and More Than Sunday, is this idea of just living it out in the kind of ordinary and everyday, because we kind of collectively as a community understand Sunday worship to a degree. It's like, yeah, we go and we do the thing. But even as you were talking about, your trip and caring for plants and all these different things, they come back to this spiritual place. I love that, because everything that we do is spiritual.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about a little bit of like how we got where we are. But you were just saying something. I wrote this down earlier. It's a a Tozer quote that I love from The Pursuit of God, which Tozer is wonderful, but again, like
so much.
one page at a time.
I started The Pursuit of God last year,
Yeah.
and I'm only like 3 chapters in still.
So in it, he says, you can see God from anywhere if your mind is set to love and obey him.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting jumping off point for worship, because it's not so much that we're mustering something up, but we're responding to who he is as we see him. And so even as you're sharing some of the things you were sharing, it's like, I'm seeing him in this thing, and that causes me to respond. Or that I see him in this and how he's working, or he's reminding me of the rhythm of life as I'm, caring for these plants, and I see his care in that design, and that causes me to want to respond. And that's really kind of what we're talking about in this Monday through Saturday, like normal, everyday worship, being worshipers, and the Father is seeking worshipers who worship in spirit and truth. It's this living, natural rhythm of being with and around him. So we both obviously are in vocational ministry to lead worship, and that's an interesting thing in and of itself. But maybe you could speak a little bit to how did you get here with that? I think the assumption can be made that worship is important to you, but I think it's an interesting thing, and I think a lot of people don't totally know, like, how does someone who leads worship get there? Like, are they just good at music? And so
how did I become a worship leader?
Yeah. Or why would you want to? Like, tell a little bit of that story.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try to make it quick. The short answer is literally the Lord.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know that I actually was a professional actor, and I was out. That was my degree, and that was what I was pursuing, and I was like all about it, and I couldn't see any part of my life without the theater. I was like, I have to be doing, and there's still a lot of elements of it that I super connect with, and it's not gone from me, but the storytelling, like we talked about, the creativity, the
Showtime.
art, and even the I don't know, there'd be times where I'd be on a tour and I'd be literally singing a song about pants, because I was in a bunch of children's theater, which is absolutely my favorite. And I'm like singing a silly song about pants, and inside my head, I'm like, I get to do this for a living. Like, it's just so much fun. But a lot of things happened kind of over the course of the last year or so that I was pursuing theater. I started noticing like things just not going super well for me. I wasn't booking jobs. I was feeling really discouraged all the time. I was kind of getting pretty depressed. And the Lord just, in a really gentle and beautiful ways, because I was like, Lord, what's wrong? Like I've been trying to do this with you. And he was like, well, actually, back in the day, back in college, he had told me, if you pursue theater, or as you pursue theater, success is going to look different for you. But in the theater world, it's one way. Like, you have to do it it's kind of like in music, or even probably in sports, like you have to, do the track the way that the other people have done the track.
There's a progression to the thing.
Yeah. You get, and then the agents, and then the stuff, and then you have to have the connections, and then you have to just kill yourself to get there. And I wasn't willing to do a lot of those things. And so long story short, kind of came to a point of, God, if you ask me to give theater up, that would be really hard for me. And he said, well, actually, he said it to me. If I asked you to give it up, would you? And my answer was no at first. And I immediately was like, oh, that's so telling. And I realized at that point that I had kind of stopped including the Lord in what I was doing. Like, I was just trying to do it. I was just trying to do what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Here are all the steps. And so he was like, I want to do all of this with you. I've given you so much that I want to be part of with you. And so in a lot of ways, and we could unpack idols, but in a lot of ways it was kind of like, this has turned into an identity and an idol for me that I can no longer carry if my identity as a daughter is supposed to be my identity. I can't do this anymore. So I didn't give it up forever, but I did give it up in those ways. And I was just in this place of like, Lord, whatever you have for me. And I needed community, and I needed a new church at that time. I was going to a great church, but it wasn't, commute was long, all the things. I needed friends. I needed people. I needed a job. I had nothing booked. All the stuff. And Damien, and then you were new to the state at that time, the exact same time I came here, you were here.
Yep.
And just bada bing, bada boom, kind of God started putting things in place and connecting me with people. And then being like, I got a place for you and I've got some people for you. And it just kind of happened. And then he actually gave me a couple tours right out of that were like dream tours. And then I was like, excuse me, I thought I just gave this up. And it was like, kind of a, what is the word I want? The, like crisis for me.
Sure.
Of like, I thought I gave this up, Lord, for you. And he was like, here, I'm giving it to you, but with me. And it's going to be so fun. And it was. And then when those were done, I was like, I still don't have a job again. And you were like, hey, I need a partner in worship. And I was like, okay. And it was a fight with the Lord. I remember just being like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do this. I'm not equipped. I think I have skills, but do I have the right heart to lead people in something? Because I do not want to be false. And I remember just for a long time really struggling with, Lord, I would have to be, it cannot be like theater. It cannot be a show. It cannot be performed.
Yeah.
And I really hope that's what comes through, but it's one of those, like, I know the difference. I feel the difference, but, I won't do this, Lord, if it's not with you. I won't step through this door that you're opening for me unless it's what you're telling me to do.
Yeah.
I won't step through this door and, I won't whatever, unless you're the one that's leading that. And then he kind of just kept doing that, like through relationship and through open doors with you or with Scott or other things. And then just people breathing new life and saying, hey, I see this in you. I'd really love to keep doing this with you. And I'm like, okay, well, so God was doing that. He was giving me some of my favorite verses at the same time too, bringing those back up, being like, here we go. I'm speaking through this anew. And I'm like, oh, so you are really in this. And, which is just some gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. But, I kind of just fell into this place.
Sure.
I just kind of fell into this role, and I still feel like a learner. I still feel like I am no idea what I'm doing a lot of the time, but I do always want to just be pursuing God in it. And I do always want to, even if I'm not amazing at it all the time, because we all fail at that, right? Like we get into our rhythms of our like weekly stuff, but I still like, my heart is to just pursue God's presence in our roles or in my role.
Yeah.
Because I've already done things where I wasn't pursuing his presence in those roles and it didn't work. And over here, things are still hard sometimes, but it's so much sweeter because his presence is here. Not necessarily because his presence is only here in this place at Northshore, but because of how he's drawn near to me and I'm drawing near to him.
Yeah.
So my heart posture has shifted a ton. And I'm still growing and learning. There's still a lot to change. And there's still a lot to just like, I don't know what I'm doing most of the time, but I do want to always rely on the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
That's really fun too.
Yeah.
So it's an adventure.
I want to press into something you said. I heard you say, this convergence of coming into this place of, you, before you even got into theater, you were a worshiper. That's something that's been a part of you and some of how you grew up as well. And then you got to this convergence place in your story as I'm hearing you of this like surrender of this potential idol, this thing, mixed with this opportunity to actually shepherd some worship. And it reminds me of Abraham and Isaac. The reason that reminds me of that is because if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's the first place in the scripture that the word worship is used. And it's in,
I think so.
It's in Hebrew. And so it's this interesting, like worship exists in this place of surrender, of like rightly responding to who God is and the authority that he has in the seat he holds. And so, I hear you saying, you don't always know what you're doing. I mean, I think that's true for all of us. We're all learning. But at the same time, it sounds like the foundation for what you stepped into as in this next season of not just being a worshiper, but helping to cultivate environments where people can learn was based in like the purest form of worship of just this open-handed surrender that he continues to kind of shape and mold.
Yeah. And what was really sweet that kind of came to mind just now is in that, I mean, there's still things in that like, there's still so much to unpack because it's always, but there's elements of when he brought me back to an identity as his daughter that I was then relating to him as a daughter to a father anew that I'd never, and I started growing closer to him as my father for a while. And then Jesus became more of a friend, and then the Holy Spirit also became more of a friend, comforter. And there was this element of like aspects of each part of God that I hadn't met before until I kind of hit this crisis point and had to do like a big, like my life shift change and being like, what in the world am I doing now? But in that, he met me as a father because daughtership was everything to me at that point, just like learning how to be a daughter. And then fun came back because the Holy Spirit loves to delight and have fun and also comfort and be our friend. And so I was just like, those aspects were never really as real to me until kind of that shift as well. And that's also continuing to unravel too, which is just beautiful.
Well, and how common is that for kind of each of us in our own story and testimony, like a moment of crisis or a moment of trial or a moment of shaping that we discover more of who we are and more of who God is in the midst of it.
Yeah.
One of, I think, just a great intro book on being a worshiper is called Face Down by Matt Redman. It's one we used as sort of our class book this year with our worship leadership class here at the Academy. But there's a quote. Matt writes, "All worship is a response to a revelation. It's only as we breathe in more of the wonders of God that we can breathe out a fuller response to him. The key to a life of passionate and powerful worship comes from seeing God," which is interesting because to me that relates back to that Tozer quote too, of kind of this cyclical process of surrender and response of like, I'm going to set my heart and my mind to love God with my heart and soul and mind and strength. And as I do that and seek to obey him as he's leading me, I see him more. I see him in the kind of the mundane details. I see him like one of my mentors, her name was Libby Fannin, and she was amazing. She's home with Jesus now. But she talked about how some of her sweetest times of just sitting with the Lord is while she's doing dishes. And just watching them go from dirty to clean, but also just this act of serving and sitting with the Lord. And I love that, like, her heart was set what Tozer said, her heart was set to love and obey. And so she began to see him more regularly. And then you see him more regularly and he's revealing himself, and that elicits more response. And it's this cool kind of building. I'd love to chat around that idea of kind of in the everyday, what does growing as a worshiper, not on Sunday, we're doing that. We talk about that a lot.
Sure.
But the Monday through Saturday, for us, what does that process look like? What are some things that we're intentional about doing in that, or some areas that we've seen fruit in, like, hey, this particular practice or thing that I've started doing.
Sure.
I know one thing for me is during Sabbatical a couple years ago, I got in this rhythm of going on prayer walks around my neighborhood, and the ADD in me is like, I need that movement to like focus my heart and my mind. And that's something that I've continued to do. And what I think I've shared this before, but one of the things I've discovered is as I regularly do these prayer walks, my heart tends to be drawn to what his heart is drawn to. And so as I'm walking around the neighborhood, I'm seeing neighbors and families, and I end up like praying over the different homes or people that I see or situations I know of in the neighborhood or whatever. And so it's this interesting, like, I go to be near to him. Like the book of James, I think it's James chapter 4, talks about when we draw near to him, he draws near to us. And this like, okay, I'm putting myself in position to relate to you. And now I'm being shaped and molded by being focused on you, and it's shifting my response. So that's one for me. What comes to your mind?
For me personally?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so everything is worship. And kind of what came to mind is the discipline, actually, that I've kind of, my mind is crazy. My mind is going nuts all the time. There's just stuff everywhere. I saw a video the other day that was like, somebody was like, this is what my brain sounds like. And it was Vivaldi's Four Seasons and a rapper on top of it. And it was just like that mashup. And I was like, yes, it's just, but add a couple more genres at the same time. And so it's just crazy. And so with that, when I was getting really convicted a few years ago with like, okay, think on these things. What is noble, loving, praiseworthy, holy, love, all that. And also just like how to keep your thoughts captive. And I just realized, like, before I even knew it, my brain was just going somewhere and I wouldn't even know that I was allowing it to go somewhere. And so it's this one area of like that stopping and turning my eyes back to the Lord and being like, and not stop, go away, brain, stop thinking about that thing, but being like, here's what I'm thinking about, Lord, and invite him into it instead. And so there's this element of inviting and allowing that is, I think, other parts of surrender that I've been stepping into currently, that I, like, somebody said, like, to me the other day, like, why do I need to talk to the Lord if he already knows what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
And I was like, because, and I thought about that, because, I mean, I've thought about this before, and I was like, well, it's relationship, because God's all about relationship, right? But I was like, that answer's not really cutting it right now. I think it's more the allowing. I am allowing him in. And I am inviting him to speak into this, instead of just being like, you already know, you could do it if you want to. You could speak into that. You could fix it. You could, if you wanted to, but fine, because you already know. So I don't actually have to do anything. But actually, even if we don't have to, which is pretty exhausting, but it's that shift for me was kind of recently of like that. I'm allowing him and I'm inviting him in. But the other thing that I was just thinking about as you were talking was the phrase that we see in the Bible all over the place that I've just been like, what does this mean, Lord? Delight in the Lord. What, how do I do that? How do I delight in you, Lord? And I think there's lots of answers for that, but it's one of those, like, as part of my weekly worship, as I'm just going throughout my day, as I'm disciplining my brain to come back around, or as I'm engaging with something mundane, or with my nieces and nephew, or whatever, or my crazy dog, is what parts of these am I inviting or allowing the Lord into, and how am I delighting in his presence, or seeing his presence in this hard thing, or this normal thing, or this whatever. Yeah. And so just a little bit more of, I guess, awareness in some ways. But what does delight yourself in the Lord mean to you?
Yeah. Well, I'll get there. One of the things I heard you say that I think is great and a helpful sort of everyday, I don't know, tip is a really weird, we'll say practice, is using our free will to choose his lordship, like to choose his leadership. Yeah. So it's not so much a, as you're processing what I was hearing you say, it's not so much a waiting on him to shift something so that I can do the new thing. It's using my now to go to him to go, what are you doing in this? Or go to his word to say, like, what pattern and rhythm have you laid out for me? What blueprint did Jesus model to live this type of life? Yeah.
Well, and also this goes back to kind of Stuart, and back in like the days when all of us were hanging out and we were the young adults. When we were the young adults.
Stop it.
That was only like 7-8 years ago, but hey, whatever. One of the things that shifted for me a lot too was just where are you seeing the Lord in your day? And that, again, a practice, because everything is really just a practice. Like this is a daily thing until we are with God forever. We're daily training our eyes to go back on him. But I would kind of end my day I had for a while this little journal by my bed, and I would end the day writing down, where did I see you, God, today?
so
Or where did I hear from you, God, today? And I kind of got out of that practice, and I was talking to someone recently, and I was like, man, I need to bring that back.
That's so
because
good.
otherwise I forget.
Yep.
I forget that I saw God in that color.
100%.
I forget that I saw God in the smile of that person that I saw earlier, or, somebody gave me this sweet thing that I needed, or he showed up in a mighty huge way sometimes. Like those, it's the little and the big. So it's and everything in between.
Yeah, I love it.
So that language shifted a lot for me too, and now it's a little bit more part of my regular practice. And yet I still forget to stop and delight myself in the Lord and be like, where did I see you today, Lord?
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And I don't say that glibly at all. I say that as, honestly, like, thank you that I saw you today, because that's literally everything.
Yeah. I've asked a similar question at the end of the day, laying in bed or whatever. Where did you shepherd me today?
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's things he'll show me that I didn't even catch yet. And I love that practice. What you're saying, I think that's a really cool way to steward the day and kind of make intentionally look to the day to go, Father, what are you doing? Because I still want to do what you're doing.
Yeah. And for the future, because my memory's pretty bad, to be able to be like, I can look back and be like, yeah, you did show up in these tiny ways or these little ways, whatever.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm like, have you done anything? Have I seen you for the last 2 weeks? So it's a practice for my good to remember where we've seen God. And Scott does it a lot too. Like, where are you seeing God right now? He just kind of asks that all the time. And it's such a good practice.
Yeah. So delighting in the Lord, a couple things come to mind. Psalm 1 comes to mind, where, you're in this position of meditating on his law day and night, and it becomes this rhythm of kind of discovering that he is nourishment. And so, the psalm progresses and you arrive at this place of he is a tree planted next to streams of living water, bears his fruit in season and leaves don't wither. And so there's this health that's found there. And I think we all, to some degree, like as humans, want to be healthy.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's delight to be found when you discover. I think in part that's why exercise plans and diets and things, there's a physical appearance side to that, certainly, but I also think there's this achievement of better living that is found where you're like, this is great. Like, I love this. I love feeling healthier. And I think that's a piece of it, and I think of, the Old Testament writer, your word is like honey on my lips. It's like, you've created this way to live that I have found health in. I've found peace and home in, where I delight in this way of living. But I also, like, for a personal story, I think, I have found his presence in sitting with him, in meditating on his word, or in a moment of praise or worship or singing, whether personally or corporately. You have these moments with him that are so deeply satisfying that I use this language sometimes, like, those moments have caused me to lose my taste for the things that the world have to offer, because it doesn't satisfy the same way. And so that, like, to me is that like delight, like this, dang, like I want to be in this place. And it's not like, I'm not aimed at, like, that's the moment of, like, that's the pinnacle. That's, if every moment could be like that. But at the same time, it's recognizing, like, this is just who he is. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, there's a couple things. I mean, my brain was like, oh yes, this and there's a couple things I'm like, I want to talk about. But that also hits on, like, one of my big things right now of like the complete holistic fullness of the Lord, and how I mean, so often a lot of us, like at least myself, grew up kind of like separated from like, you know, your emotions are that, and they're over there, and your thinking is over here, but your soul has got to go to heaven, and you're all the things. And then in here is this body, and there's this world aspect of like, it's got to, you know, I got to take care of it, sure, while it's here, but also like, it's just your body, and who cares? And God created it all. Like he created our will, our affections, our mind, our thoughts, and he does amazing things. It was his idea. He also experienced it here on earth and our body. And so this complete wholeness, when I see the word wholeness or fullness in the Bible, I'm thinking of it as all of it versus just like, oh yes, I want all of the Lord, but like all of the Lord also means created in his image, everything that he's put in me. And so it's all integrated. And so that healthy, taking care of ourselves, you know, as much as we can is so good for your heart. It's going to be so good for your mind. It's going to be so good for how you relate with the Lord. It's going to be good for how you relate with the people around you, which is all God's design. And so that's another area that I'm like, yes, about these days. Like, come on, because I'm not great at all aspects, but it's a journey. But it's just so good. Yeah. And then, as you were saying, like losing the taste for things of this world. Yeah. Kind of one of my taglines, I guess, I don't know, of the last several years is that everything always comes back to identity and intimacy with the Lord. And so there's this element of, you know, when I'm struggling with something or things aren't going right or I'm in crisis of some sort or something like that, or even just like mentally reeling over the same thing over and over again, like I tend to do, if I stop and go like, okay, where's my identity in this right now? Is my identity back as being a daughter? Or where am I putting my affections? Where am I spending time with the Lord really right now? Am I pursuing intimacy with God? Yeah. Because really everything does, it sounds simplistic, but it's kind of is and kind of isn't. It really is everything when we come back around to like our identity is in a son or a daughter, and my intimacy with him, I am being intimate with the Lord. I'm spending time with him. I'm getting to know his voice. I'm just delighting in him. I'm not even, hopefully the aim is hopefully not always going for the fix or the thing or God's gift or his blessings, but it's just him.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's just intimacy with him. It fixes everything. It really does.
Sure. It's aligning because all right, what makes our identity so important is the one who creates the identifier. Yeah. Like, we have identity as sons and daughters because he is the Father. Yes. Right? One of my student pastors, I think it was in middle school or something, and this isn't like a scriptural answer, but I've never forgotten it. So in my brain, it's helpful. He said an easy way to think, just to get your headspace in the right area for what is worship, is worthship, giving something its worth and living accordingly. Yeah. Well, we know that Jesus is the King of Kings, and we have the privilege and honor to be citizens of his kingdom. Yep. So then, as a king does, he has a rule and an authority, and it's less about a new like individual changes or initiatives that he's doing, and more about this is what his kingdom looks like. This is okay in my kingdom. This is not okay in my kingdom. Yeah. And I really think at its heart, that's what being a worshiper in spirit and truth is about. 'Cause I'm just agreeing with what you're saying and saying it a different way of like, it's all about who is he, and now who does he say we are, and then delighting in this new version of being a human that he created. So something that you and I talk about a lot from stage with our church family is that we want these songs not just to be moments of singing, which are awesome and the Lord created, but also to be helpful and equipping to give us words for different moments. Part of what we're doing is singing the truth of who he is and what his kingdom is like. Because as you were saying, like, we're human and we get out of rhythm and out of pattern, and we need to be reminded. And so I think having this understanding, I think to me, it like opens up the flower of the purpose of corporate gathered worship.
Yeah.
Is yes, these moments together. Yes, the individual and group like moment of connectedness with the Lord. Beautiful spaces happen there, but it's also a resetting and a realigning of like he designed all of this and has a really good plan for every day, for every moment.
Yeah.
Living in this place where, as you said, holistically, our heart, mind, soul, and strength are aimed at loving and obeying him. And then we get to see from like Tozer and Redmond this cyclical growth that then happens of like, you know, we say this all the time at our church, eyes on Jesus.
Yep.
Well, when we do that in brushing my teeth and, you know, laying out the clothes or doing the chores or whatever, you start to see him in those spaces because he's there already. We're just realigning our heart to look for him in those places.
Yep. Yeah.
So I think, you know, if there's encouragement, something that just seems to be kind of bubbling up for me in this this episode and this chat is encouragement for people who are in our church family to like have that lens of kingdom coming into Sunday worship of like, whoa, this is absolutely like directed towards the Father, and it's directed towards Jesus. It's directed towards the Holy Spirit. It's giving them the praise and the honor and the worth that they're due, but it's also a reminder corporately together of each other of like, he is the king, so this is his kingdom. And there's a way to do this, and we'll find delight in that place.
Yeah.
And then for listeners who may not even have decided to follow Jesus yet, for me, it's comforting to know that there's a plan. Like it's comforting to know that there's a design. Like, you know, I'm a sport guy. And so like whether it's whatever, I grew up with basketball being the pinnacle, the thing. Like imagine not having positions or a game plan. Like it would just be chaos. And so there's comfort to me in these boundaries of like, this is what it's going to look like. So it's not just like, you know, for those listeners, it's not just, this is what we have to do now. This is right. This is wrong. It's an invitation to a new way to be human where delight is found, as you said.
And I would just invite people to like, just ask the question, like, where am I seeing you today, God? Even if you don't even know him, you're like, who are you? Do I even see you around today?
Yeah,
like,
it's great.
And as you're walking, I mean, it's summertime, so it's gorgeous here in the PNW. Like, walk around and see some flowers or the stunning view of Mount Rainier that I had the other day that literally almost made me have an accident, which is so good. And I was just like, the Lord, thank you. So like to me that day, it was like, I saw the Lord there.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, just asking that question, just starting to wonder. Wonder is actually a beautiful gift of the Holy Spirit.
Yep.
Start to wonder, where am I seeing the Lord today?
Yeah, I love it. Thanks so much for tuning in again to this week's episode. As always, if you have questions you want to ask or thoughts or response to anything, you can email us at morethansunday@northshorechristian.org, and we can interact with you there. Stay tuned in. More episodes are on the way. Thanks, Britt, for joining us and chatting about worship. I loved it. Had a great time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the More Than Sunday podcast. The easiest way to stay connected with us is to follow or subscribe on whatever podcast platform you are using. If this episode was impactful for you, leave a comment or review below. We would love to hear from you. This podcast is hosted by Northshore Christian Church. We have services in Everett at 8:30 and 10:30 a.m. and would love to see you there.